Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. So today, our goal is to give kind of a quick overview of apprenticeships in Vermont, what they are, and how you can get more info and how you can get started on them. My name is Johnston. I am an employee with Vermont State University. My role within apprenticeships is mostly along the lines of the electrical and plumbing programs. And this is Chris Laflam. And
I'm Chris Laflam. I work with the Vermont Department of Labor running the Registered Apprenticeship Program. The Vermont Department of Labor's role in Registered Apprenticeship is that we register employers to run these programs, as well as get you all involved in taking these classes and working for these employers through the Department of Labor. We engage different industries to help make these programs more efficient. And basically, we're like Big Brother showing, directing the employers to create and to run these programs most efficiently to benefit you and to benefit the state of Vermont.
So thinking about apprenticeships, I thought it would be cool to ask a quick question, and that is, when you think of apprenticeship, what comes to mind? And if you want to raise your hand, we can get a mic to you. But I thought it would be interesting just to see what you heard about apprenticeship, just to gauge the room. Yep, just wait 1 second to the...
An apprenticeship under a trade skill?
Sure.
That kind of thing?
Yeah. Any-
Just let people know we have an online audience, so the mic is helpful for them. So thank you.
Anyone else? There's no wrong answer.
No
No
wrong
wrong answer now.
I know when
I was just going to say, I think of apprenticeships as usually, being paid and like very intensive outcomes for a certain type of skill set, but usually that the employer, that you're actually, it's that you're getting paid.
Perfect.
That is correct.
Anyone else? Go for it.
Just a combination between working, like a working opportunity and a learning opportunity, is what I think I would look for.
That's a great answer. That's exactly what apprenticeship is, because you are earning while you learn. And as the more that you learn, the more you get paid. So it's on the job training. And I can't think of a better way to learn a job than to actually have hands-on right after high school.
Cool. So this is kind of the lengthy definition of an apprenticeship. When I think of apprenticeship, I think of it as a credential that has two main components, one of which being the employer or on-the-job training component, and that's where with any apprenticeship, you're on the job, you're making money, and so that's one part. And then the other part is some kind of schooling. And with electrical and plumbing, that's where VTSU comes in, and the Department of Labor largely takes the lead on the job hours component of it. So further defining apprenticeships, so every apprenticeship is going to have a structured component to it. So a good way to explain this is through one of our apprenticeships right now. So with electrical and plumbing, the way that the structured workforce component works is you're working with an employer, and you're gathering up 8,000 on-the-job hours, and that sounds like a lot, but that's equivalent to 4 years of being a full-time employee. And no matter what field you're in, you're going to have those requirements to some degree. It's not always going to be 4 years. Pretty much all apprenticeships are like a year or more, but they can vary depending on what your field you're in, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. There's always going to be guidelines and standards that are put out for any apprenticeship you do. So for electrical and plumbing, those guidelines are put out by the Fire Safety Board. So the way it works is after you're done with your on-the-job hours and your schooling component, you take a test with the fire safety board. And all apprenticeships are collaboration. So as we were saying, the Department of Labor helps with the employer end, but you're also working with an employer. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. So there's all types of different agencies involved in any kind of apprenticeship. All apprenticeships have earn as you learn. Like with any apprenticeship, one part of it's always going to be you're with an employer. And that's one thing that really stands out with apprenticeships is the entire time you're learning, you're bringing home a paycheck, and that's pretty cool.
As opposed to going to college where you're there for 2 or 4 years, accruing a substantial amount of debt and not making any money. Now, now we have a diverse range of industries. When I didn't know anything about apprenticeship before I started working for the Department of Labor, I always imagined, you remember the movies, or the cowboy movies where there's the apprentice, the blacksmith apprentice who's hammering out horseshoes and sleeping in the stall or whatever at night. There are so many different industries through registered apprenticeship and in Vermont as well, ranging from healthcare to contracting, like you said, electrical plumbing. There's a lot of manufacturing apprenticeships out there, like sheet metal, welding, financial services, bookkeeping, engineering. And let's go over the next one. Now there's key. These are the Vermont. These are the industries that that Vermont hosts right here for the apprenticeship programs. Like I said, there's more than just electrical and plumbing. And let's go to the next one. And within each of these sectors, there are dozens of jobs and careers that you can choose from. Like, for example, healthcare, we've got phlebotomy, we've got nursing, and we're actually starting one working with medical instruments, cleaning them and calibrating them. Advanced manufacturing, we've got a lot of jobs out there, like at Global Foundries, building microchips. We've got some apprenticeships at GE Aerospace, working in the aerospace industry. And IT and cybersecurity pathways as well. And another big part of this is we have a lot of public apprenticeships. A lot of people don't know that a large number of the police departments in this state have registered apprenticeship programs that you work through. And that they're always in need. Sure. Is there welding? There's not a specific welding apprenticeship right now, but there are occupations that use a big welding component to it, like I had mentioned, sheet metal fabrication, which is done with several firms in Champlain Valley. And as you can see here, this right here is a list of all the specific Vermont apprenticeships there are. Okay, plumber, process technician. Look at, there's one real popular one is a ski lift mechanic. You know, there's a lot of ski lifts in Vermont, and that's a very specialized industry to work on those ski lifts. So if you like skiing, you can get employed by all of our resorts in Vermont have ski mechanic apprenticeships, and we can help get you hired by one of these resorts, and you can start skiing for free and working at the slope, making money from the moment you get out of high school or wherever, and you become a certified technician after that. So, you know, diesel mechanic helper teaching, that's a new apprenticeship for us too here in Vermont. We have great need for teachers, great need for, like Zach does, electricians and plumbing. Make sure that if you've got more questions that you stop by our table. We've got all this information on these specific industries and how to get jobs in these industries through the Department of Labor after.
So more components of apprenticeship. One unique aspect is the industry-led teachers. So, for example, in electrical and plumbing programs, all of our instructors come from the field. Some of them are inspectors for the state. Some of them are on the electrical or plumbing board. We also have instructors who have their own business and have for years. So you're learning from like the industry leaders. You're also, like we said, you're getting paid the whole time. Can't say that enough. The on-the-job learning and mentorship, especially coming from someone with a disability, I think this part's really great. With an apprenticeship, you're going to be going to school, and you'll have a teacher, like I said, that is a leader in the field. But then you can take the things that you learn from class and bring it directly to work. And I have a lot of apprentices that will have something come up in class, and they'll be like stewing about it and thinking about it, and the next day in work they're able to get clarity from their supervisor. So that's something that I think is just so cool, is you're both learning when you're on the job and when you're at school. It never really stops. Another component is supplemental education. So we also help with people securing their OSHA 10 licenses. On top of that, when apprentices are done with our program, we do offer exam prep sessions that help apprentices pass an exam, because for a lot of people in this field, you might come in thinking, oh, tests are kind of scary, and there's a testing component at the end. And what we really do is we set up our classes so they're structured in a way that kind of mimics the test. So at the end of your 4 years, you'll be like really used to the structure of it, and you'll be learning from a lot of the people who make the credential criteria. Also, it is a nationally recognized program, so you can take your credentials anywhere. No matter where you are in the U.S., there's plumbers and electricians, and maybe not ski attendants, but like most everything that there's an apprenticeship of, it's pretty versatile. So on top of the fact that you're getting paid the whole time, you're also getting a pay increase whenever you complete a section. So with electrical and plumbing, the way this works is, again, they're 4-year programs. So you would take electrical 1 from November to April, electrical 2 from November to April, and so on through electrical 4. Same thing for the plumbing apprenticeship. So whenever you complete a level, you get a pay increase. The amount you start at is determined by the employer, but no matter what, there is a pay increase, because that's part of the agreement in hosting an apprentice. What else haven't we touched on too much yet? Diversity and credentialing. One thing that is really cool about apprenticeships is we have apprentices who are in high school and in tech centers who are 16 years old, and then we have apprentices who are 50, 60 years old, and everything in the middle. You can start almost whenever. 16 is a hard age stop point because of regulations, but you could start a new career whenever you want. And also, it is becoming, I think we're having more diversity represented in our students. One thing that I've been really working on hard is making it more accessible. And if you have an IEP, you can bring that with you, and we work with disability. So any extra time you had in high school, we will work with you, and you'll get those you'll get those services with us. Yeah, a lot of this we kind of talked about already, but skill development, the whole time you're apprentice, you're working on the job, structured and flexible. So our classes, I don't know if I've said this yet, but they're online, and they're twice a week. But in the future, we're kind of hoping to have hybrid options too, because we get that not everyone learns best online. So don't have full details on that, but that's definitely something in the works. Career networking, when you're in these classes, again, you're working with professors who are in the field, but also one cool thing about having Zoom class online is the apprentices who are in the class with you are from all over the state. So you might learn different things about how different companies work, because if you're in a larger company, that might look very different than someone working at a mom and pop company. So one unique aspect is the apprentices just getting to know each other and like how the field looks differently depending on what company you're with. The earning a debt-free credential, can't say that enough. No matter what field you're in, for the most part, employers will pay for your tuition. And I can't say enough about how much I wish I explored more debt-free opportunities when I was looking at post-high school options. But that's, I think, one of the bigger sell points of apprenticeships is you're going into a field that there are jobs, and there will be jobs for a while, especially electrical and plumbing, but a lot of the trades, the amount of people retiring right now is incredible, which makes for great opportunity if you're coming out of high school. It's a pretty good time to get into the trades.
I think it's important to know, before we watch this video, that, we get several calls a week at the Vermont Department of Labor saying people, oh, give me a job. I want to be an apprentice. I want to be an electrician. I want to be a plumber or something like that. The Vermont Department of Labor does not provide electrician or plumbing or any types of apprenticeships to people. You have to get hired by the company first, okay, as an apprentice. And that's where the Vermont Department of Labor can help you at one of your local job centers. But the big role that the Vermont Department of Labor does is that we vet these companies and we make sure that these apprentices are working with a one-to-one mentor. It's a very important part of apprenticeship. Is that through your on-the-job training, through your day, you are one-to-one with a specialist. That is a rule, and we make sure that happens.
Are those mentors trained to be mentors?
Yes, usually they are licensed, like say licensed plumbers.
And they have a master's license. That's a very important, yeah.
I guess one of my questions is, are they trained in how to be a mentor?
Yes, we make sure that those people that when I create an apprenticeship for a company that wants an apprenticeship, I find out who's going to be doing the training, and I check their credentials and their background.
Yeah, there's a full vetting process whenever there's a new employer.
So you're not just working with another apprentice as a mentor, or some guy who's been working there for 3 years, doesn't know too much. You're usually working with a specialist. Yeah. We don't provide specific training, but we do check in with apprentices and we do check in with the mentors, as well as we do in-person visits at these companies to make sure that everything is working smoothly. I can't emphasize that enough, that it is a one-to-one mentorship, and that is a big part of apprenticeship, plus getting your tuition paid as well.
As we're finding a good fit with employers is so important too. And sometimes there are fits that are just bad, but sometimes like a bad fit for someone might be a good fit for someone else. Yeah, but it is such a good component of having a successful time in apprenticeship is having the right employer.
And we found a lot of the trainers through the apprenticeship program, they went through the apprenticeship program themselves. And being a small state, right? it makes a lot of sense. So a lot of these mentors at these different companies like Husky or Global Foundries or VHV, Benoit Electric, those trainers went through the apprenticeship program themselves. So they know the way it runs, they know what these kids or these people need to know. And I think there's one thing we didn't touch on was when it comes to on-the-job training, like you said, there's 8,000 hours for like a 4-year program, like an electrician. Those 8,000 hours are divided up into specific tasks. Maybe there's 5 different silos, like stuffing boxes, electrical boxes that may be 60 hours required, or house wiring, maybe 250 hours required. So there are specific requirements for these jobs. It's just not working for 8,000 hours and you get your accreditation. You have to be proficient and skilled in these tasks, and that's what your mentor does for you. You can do it in less than 8,000 hours, or you can do it in 8,000 hours. But usually we do require full 8,000 hours. So we got a short video here from Senator Sanders, who talks about apprenticeship here.
I'm gonna try that again.
It's the back button, right?
Yeah.
It was gone.
I graduated high school and I was looking
I think the video will catch up.
work-wise. You know what, I wasn't really cut out to go to college, I guess you could say.
We want to make sure
Ah.
those kids who do not choose to go to college, that there are economic opportunities available to them with the good jobs that are out there, and that they get the training that they
Yep. You lose the idea.
I graduated high school and I was looking for something to do work-wise.
We have the technical. Anyone know how this?
Yeah, so that video's a few different apprentices kind of describing their experience.
Let's try one more time if we can. Oh, that's it. It was this cursor.
I won't touch it, that's probably not helping.
And I was looking for something to do work-wise. I knew I wasn't really cut out to go to college, I guess you could say.
We want to make sure that those kids who do not choose to go to college, that there are economic opportunities available to them with the good jobs that are out there, and that they get the training that they need in order to do those jobs.
I have 4 years of my apprenticeship. It consists of 4 years of classes and 8,000 hours of on-the-job training. It's nice to be able to get paid to go to college, I guess would be the way to put it. I'm going to school, but I'm also working every day.
So currently, the way the demographics are going in the U.S., all of the skilled trades workers are getting ready to retire. They're under late 50s. They're going to all be retired in the next 5 years. The problem is that's going to leave millions of jobs that are unfilled. And these are skilled trades jobs, so you can't just plug anyone into it.
The world is changing very, very much. The plans for today is obsolete tomorrow. So the question that we face is how do we make sure that our kids get the training for the jobs of the future that pay them decent wages, and how they know about the programs around them.
So it's a good thing for the kid that doesn't know what they want to do with their life, and they just think they have to go to college because that's what everybody does. They end up paying like exorbitant student loans. For somebody that doesn't know what they want to do, this is a really good path. You come out of this apprenticeship with a wide array of skills
Now, there are over 600,000 registered apprentices that are working right now in this country as I speak. Approximately 1,850 of those are in Vermont, and we are adding them every single day. We don't see many apprentices not complete their programs. It's such a successful program that 90% of these apprentices complete their programs and go on to pursue and have the career that they started out with and that they wanted. And their earning average to start off with is $80,000 a year. That's at the most 4 years after high school, after 8,000-hour program. Our apprenticeship programs connects the schools and the post-secondary education programs like trade schools and your trade schools that are in the high schools that help companies meet these people, help these people meet the companies and understand what's out there and what their opportunities are for the trade schools, for the trades in Vermont. And both employers and apprentices greatly benefit from the registered apprenticeship program. I guess you could say the employees are kind of considered to be like super employees at these companies, because you have to come in, and if you want to be an apprentice, that shows the employer that you are really dedicated to this career, that you're just not taking this as another job. That, yeah, you know what, I want to get my certification in sheet metal. I want to be a professional CNC operator, or I want to be a police officer and work my way up through the ranks. And so it benefits both parties. And there's a lot of work that goes on with these employers to make sure that you are getting the correct on-the-job training that you need, and that you are getting your education paid for. And like I said, please stop by our table afterward, and we can tell you what the next steps are. If you're interested in this type of career, if you're curious about shadowing a company, we can do that for you. I think I've pretty much gone through this already, just some examples of some apprenticeship pathways that we have in Vermont. GE Aerospace has the occupations listed right here, which are which you start off as maintenance electrician, then you go into mechatronics, and you end up as a tool and die maker, or you can do any type of option. The classes are pretty much the same, and this is one of our leaders, our leading employers. Global Foundries, the old IBM Microelectronics, they have, we've created an apprenticeship program for them, and that is a very popular one as well. They are always hiring, they are always expanding. And like I had mentioned before, police departments or ski lift mechanics as well, if you want to work out with the public. Oh, someone's got a question.
First question is, it's probably hard to generalize, but how many applicants are there for an apprentice spot, i.e. are there more applicants than potential placement spots?
Yes, there are. Companies are always looking for apprentices. If you get yourself a Vermont Job Link account, which is the job search program through the Vermont Department of Labor, apprenticeship jobs are listed there, and you can apply for them there. The Vermont Department of Labor offers training to even help you interview for those jobs.
Do you have a sense of like the average amount of applicants that
I do not. I'd say if one of our employers, say, a CNC mechanic, CNC operator has a position open, I would say you would probably have 5 or 6 applicants for that. It's just, there's a great need. There's a lot of people that still want to stay here and they want jobs. Oh,
Any more questions?
anyone have any more questions?
I have 2 questions. Thank you. I have 2 questions. One is, on average, how many of these apprentices are for a 2 or 4 year program between like 18 and 22 years old? In other words, they came out of high school and they went into this. And what percentage are older adults that are changing careers or looking to change a career. And the other question is, at a typical company, are there more than one apprentice at a time? And I'm wondering, like, do these kids have like a cohort like you would if you were a freshman in college with many other kids in your class? Are there other people in the companies that are doing the same thing that you're doing?
Most companies have more than one apprentice. Understandably, there may be these small mom and pop companies that only want one apprentice. But if you're talking like a company like, say, Omega Electric in Burlington, they've got 48 apprentices. Okay, and I don't really have a good idea of what the ages of these apprentices would be.
I would say probably like 3/4 of them are like on the younger end, if I had to.
3/4 right out of high school. And you were asking if some programs are 2,000 hours and others are 4,000 hours. The majority of them are 4,000 hours, especially the occupations that you need licensure for, to be a licensed electrician, licensed plumber.
However, like with the electrician program, there is now an on-ramp, the Type S program, which is kind of a really exciting development. So with that program, you can get a specialty license in 1 year. Like the two biggest specialty licenses that we have are probably solar and heat pump. So that is 2,000 hours in 1 year of on-the-job training, or 1 year of our school training. The cool thing about that is you can get that 1 year license, and it's a really good track for people if high school was kind of challenging and they don't want to take on the 4 years. You can do the 1 year program, get that license, and be like, oh, that's where I want to get off. Or you could say, hey, that wasn't so bad, and you can jump into the second year of the 4 year program. So that's one way that we're trying to make it a little bit more versatile. And also, you could go back 4 years after you complete the Type S program and continue on year 2. So it gives more flexibility. And we're hoping to do that soon with plumbing, but we don't have a Type S yet for plumbing. But that is one way that we're trying to like make it a little bit more versatile. Any other questions?
Well, going once, going twice. Oh, last one.
Is there a list of apprenticeships broken down by duration?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. There is a list of apprenticeships on the Vermont Department of Labor apprenticeship site. It does not knock it down per hours, but you would have to contact us personally for that, and we can get those answers for you. If that's it, I guess we're done, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.